Hello, I'm Harold. In part one of the project, I tried to make an adapter to screw a Craftsman Chuck onto my rotary table, and that resulted in a pile of scrap. Well, not a very big pile, with a very big adapter. But anyway, not wanting to stop because I wanted the adapter. I continued on, so here's part two, and we'll see how that came out. Before we get into there, I want to tell you about Bubba. Bubba, him and his wife been married, I guess, 50 years or more. One morning he got up and she's dead. And he was kind of shocked at the whole thing. He had to go and fix his own breakfast and all that stuff. And he thought, well, he figured, I guess he'd best call in 911 and, tell them that Bobby Sue was dead. And so he calls in and tells them about his wife being dead. They said, well, where do you live, Bubba? And he says, on Eucalyptus Drive. Lady on the phone says, well, can you spell that? Bubba sat there quiet for a little bit thinking. He said, well, he said, I'll tell you what. How about I drag her over to Oak Street and y'all pick her up over there? I guess Bubba couldn't spell it. He might not could spell Oak Street either, though. And just as a bonus, we're going to have an Ole and Lena joke here. And it seems Ole lives up there in Minnesota. And it was in the middle of the winter, and it come on the news that they're going to have a 6 to 8 inch snow. And they called it a snow emergency. And they wanted everybody to park their car on the even numbered side of the street so that the snow plows could get through, and clean everything up. So Ole shuffles out, gets the car, parks it on the even numbered side of the street. They go on a couple of weeks and they have another news announcement. There's going to be a big snow event, 6 to 8 inches of snow, and they'd like everybody to go park their car on the odd number of the street so the snow plows can get by. So Ole shuffles out, goes, parks his car on the odd side of the street, and everything's going along good. A couple of weeks later, they come on still another snow event. And just when they about to say where to park their car, boom, the power goes off. And Odie says, Lena, he says, what am I going to do? He says, they didn't tell me where to park the car. And Lena says, oh, Odie, quit worrying so much about everything. She says, this time just leave it in the garage. So there you are. 2 second-rate jokes. That's a bonus. Anyway, so I guess we ought to get on out and start to work on this little adapter. I just, I got this Logitech webcam. It's up there. And I notice I have a tendency to look up at it, but then it looks like I'm looking up somewhere. And if I look straight ahead, it looks like I'm looking straight at the camera. I think that's kind of like magic. So I'm not looking at it right now, and it looks like I am. Whereas when I look at it, it looks like I'm looking up. Well, a lot of things confuse us rednecks. Let's just go ahead and get on with the adapter. Well, having turned my first attempt into a piece of scrap metal, I'm regrouping, and I decided that the way I was doing this wasn't right anyway. So I come up with a new design here. I'm going to drop it down almost the whole 400 thousandths that's between the flange on that Marsh taper drill shank and the tabletop. I don't want it to go all the way down, because it might pull the drill shank out of the taper and I wouldn't be in the center anymore. So I'll probably do this thing down to around 375 thousandths instead of the whole 400, and that'll fit pretty good. And the thing's only going to be about 1 inch thick because I got a 1/2 inch of threads and about 1/4 inch of this little Bosch thing here. So we'll get started. Let's go and start all over again. Who knows? Maybe I'll make another piece of scrap. All right, so I saved you from watching all the drilling and threading of the inside part of it all over again. And I changed the design a little bit. There's no shoulder back here, so that this can sink down on the drill chuck or shank there. And I've set the threads, and we're going to see, make a little scratch cut here and see what we get. Alright, that was a really light scratch cut, wasn't it? Well, you can see that it fits the the headstock. I'm going to have to roll it around by hand a little bit. It's kind of faint on one side, darker on the other side. There we go. Alright, so the thread gauge matches the scratch, and we're going to begin to try one more time to cut this stupid thread that I messed up on before. But this time I've got the tailstock jammed up tight against it in the center there, so it might slip in the taper, but I doubt it. It's definitely not going to pop out like it did before. And we're going to enjoy this whole thing right through. Alright. Stop and check the thread, see if it's getting close to being done. And the only thing I've got to check it with is this heavy chuck here. And it looks like it's just about right. I just needed to do some spring cuts in there, and I think it'll fit. Okay, I had to run the tool in for a couple more thousandths and make about 3 or 4 spring passes, and then everything just all of a sudden fit. So it fits really easy. So I think that I'm finished with that. I'll get a rod and knock that thing out of the headstock. Maybe this will fit. It's not heavy. Alright. Well, it's in there now. I'll get it. There we go. At least it didn't fall out this time. Okay. So I'll be back in a minute when I've screwed it onto the rotary taper. Okay, all the threads have been very carefully cleaned in the chuck and in that little adapter. Set that little chuck right on top of it. Put it right on down till I think that Morse tape is turning. Yeah, it's turning in the taper there. I may have made it too close. Let's see what happens now. Right now then. There we go. Stuck in the taper nice, and it's on there, and I guess we can call that particular job done, even though it did take a two-part video to ever get it right. At least I finally got it. So we'll do something else now for just a minute before we go. Well, I was on another forum, another channel, and some guy was talking about his three-jaw chuck being off, and I made the mistaken statement that, well, mine's got 13 thousandths of total indicator run out, and then the condition of my chuck become a matter of concern, which is never concerned to me, because if I'm going to make something all in one piece and cut it off that's going to be through with it, I just stick it in here if it's already on the machine. If it's not, I use the 4-jaw chuck. Mostly I tend to use the 4-jaw chuck for everything just because I like the accuracy. But anyway, I've got this indicator set up here, and we'll see how much total indicator run out that I've got. That looks like about 6 thousandths altogether, so I guess my imagination must have been running kind of wild there, and my old geezer memory didn't work good. Or maybe that indicator there is needing to go to stare it for a good cleaning. Maybe both, because I had a lot of trouble with trusting it when I used it to zero something out. Probably I'll have to send it in to get it cleaned up and reworked. I've got 2 or 3 here that need to be cleaned up and reworked. So anyway, it looks like I've got 6 thousandths total indicator run out. That ought to be a wonderful bit of news for somebody. It's still not as accurate as a 4-jaw chuck, and if I want to do something accurate, I'm going to put it in the 4-jaw chuck. Anyway, at least second time around, I got my job done successfully, and I appreciate y'all viewing. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and leave a comment and click the like button and all that kind of junk. Just make an old geezer happy. Alright? And we'll see y'all next time around. Y'all come back now.